Hey sis.
Hey sister circle.
I'm your big sis April.
And I'm your little sis Tiffany. And we are Sister Talk Network Podcast.
Sisters bridging the generational gap while encouraging candid conversations
and healing amongst women, friends, and sisters. You have a sister now. Hey sis.
Hey sister circle.
Hey y'all.
We are back for another day. I am your big sis April.
And I'm your little sis Tiffany.
And this is Sister Talks Network Podcast.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in today. So we was talking earlier about some things that are pretty heavy, and it kind of piggybacks off of the last episode where we talked about our gap, the generational gap, which is the 15 years between us, but letting people know that that gap was so much deeper and it was more like a divide between us, like things that kept us apart for many years until we began our healing journey of coming back together. Yeah. So if y'all didn't see that episode, go back and watch it because it's pertinent. It
explains why we here.
Explains it all. Explains our why. So in speaking about all of that, it just goes even deeper, you know, and God starts God and it's like, okay, there's more to this than that. Yeah. So when we started this process, I always consider the external battles, the external conflict, people coming for us, like that kind of stuff. What are people going to say? How are we going to be perceived? But never accounted for the internal conflict and battles that comes along with it, because God is basically saying, okay, it's no longer just about our separate or individual journeys. It's about his platform and about his purpose, his plan, his glory. Yeah. So that's bringing me to a place of a lot of internal struggle. And I want to talk more about that, and just in the spirit of transparency, because we promised that we would be open along the way.
Which is not easy, y'all.
No,
not easy.
It's definitely not easy. And I've talked on past episodes a little bit about just the things that I've been struggling with over the past few weeks or months, and how God is challenging me to make some hard changes that, you know, it was never an issue before. Yeah. And him being a representation at all times and everything that I do and I say when I'm around other people, even in the corporate setting, just all levels. And it's been really hard. It's been really hard for me, but in allowing him into those situations, he's showing me things that I never even realized I did. Yeah. But what I love about him, that he's such a loving and caring God, is before he brought me to this point, he affirmed me in so many ways. He showed me exactly who I was in him. He showed me, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are kind, you are enough. All of these things. Yeah. And let me bask in that glow for a couple months. And then it was, okay, I need you to work on this. Yeah. Okay, I need you to work on this. I need you to work on this. To bring me to a place of, if I'm honest, complete brokenness. But I call it gracefully broken, because he was gracious enough to show me who I was before you like beat me down. Yeah. So I'm eternally grateful for that. But I honestly feel like I am in a threshing floor place where he is separating all of the things that he can use from the things that will no longer serve me on this platform. Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed anything on your end.
Well, I mean, the cussing is a big one. Yeah. Because like I went from, I would say the amount of cuss words that I was saying in a day, I'm down to maybe a week and a half.
That's good.
Yeah. So
we talked about that.
Yes.
We talked in depth about that.
And just being, I'm more selective in which ones I use
Some are worse
based,
than others.
Based off the meaning.
Yeah.
Because like really understanding that, we talk about there's life and death in the power of your tongue, and what a cuss actually means. And just being deliberate in, do you really mean that or not? Now, sometimes I still, sometimes I still say it.
Yeah.
But I understand exactly what it means. Like, I never want to say something or speak something over somebody's life where it's just like,
speaking damnation now.
Yes. But it's like in certain situations, I feel like it's warranted. Like, if you come from my kids, yes, I'm a cuss. I mean every last one of them.
Still working on it, y'all.
Like, it's certain, but there's certain situations where it's like, now I know what I'm saying, and I know he's going to hold me to a different standard, which none of us really want.
We talked about that.
Yes. But it's like, okay, God, but now the ignorance is gone. Like, okay, now I know what I'm really saying, so now I'm more careful in what term I use it in. In certain words, certain cusses, I've just completely gotten rid of. Like, okay, I'm not gonna say that no more because now I know what that one means.
Like you can't, you definitely can't do that. But you were talking about the whole scenario of now, like we're responsible and you're held at a different standard. And I remember us having a conversation about this, and we were talking about people who were in ministry and things like that. And it's like, oh no, I don't want that. I don't want that because I don't want to be held at a different standard. Yeah. But he's showing me, oh yeah, you are held at a different standard. And it's painful. Like I won't even pretend it's not, with him revealing areas to me slowly. And again, he's gracious because it's not like a whole download of it's one thing at a time. Yeah. So now, okay, I feel like you've mastered that. So let me go a little bit deeper. It started out surface where I've talked to everyone openly about my eating. And I'm like, okay, I see you, I hear you. This is what I'm going to do. So I'm working on that. But then you going like deep. Yeah. Just when I was talking to you earlier about the first how I talk to people in a corporate setting and just in general overall, and not being so brash. Like I can come off very matter of fact, not offering people grace in a corporate setting. And I find that just based on what we were talking about, that I'm doing that with the people that are closest to me and in our conversations with each other. And I had to ask God today on my drive up, why do I do that? And I don't have the answer yet, because he was pointing out to me that, okay, corporate setting, I'm that way, but 10 times worse. I won't even pretend. People that I love, I'm that way. But he was showing me instances of people that I care about, but not necessarily love. They may be friends, and I offer them so much grace. And I don't know why. Like I'm offering them the grace that I should be offering to the people that are the closest to me. I don't know why, but he'll reveal it.
I think it's because with the people that you care about, I feel like there's not as an emotional attachment to understanding who they actually are and who they are in God's eyes. Like I will say, for me, a lot of times where you be kicking my behind, but I understand that is only because you understand what God has for me in a different way that I might not be understanding for myself. So where it's just like, okay, I need you to do this, this, and this, but I know it's because you see something different. And you might not see that where other people. So it's just like, I can't give you more leeway because I don't fully understand what your purpose and calling is.
That's good. That's good. That's true. Very true. And I'm also hearing now that I can't give to my close people. My family that's my, like when you talked about before, my territory. And these people are in my house. I haven't been able to offer that to you because I've never offered it to myself. I've never offered myself that grace of sitting in my feelings, sitting in my emotions. It's just you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And when I think about it, and I was telling you even last night, him showing like, showing me in a different way, how I've been, and it was not pretty, and it was almost like a aha moment of the feeling of uneasiness and knowing that God is not pleased with that, because we have to do everything in love. And I talk about that all the time, doing stuff in love, but thinking of it from I've been thinking of it from a broader view of, in the big situations, or not, but he wants that from me, like even in the small things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. But the good thing about it again is he's gracious, and it's not a feeling of anxiousness or anything like that. It's just a brokenness.
Yeah.
And coming up out of that.
Yeah. With me, it's like I know I talked about this before, because that sense of control and him releasing me. And I remember, who was it? The Know For Sure podcast. I'm gonna tag them. I love them.
I love them too.
But Megan was talking about God wants the thing that's difficult for you to let go. He doesn't want the thing that's like what's easy for somebody else. It's like, okay, he doesn't want that. He wants the thing that's, okay, I'm really struggling with this, and allowing him to have it. Mine's is my sense of control. And just wanting to, once I see there's a problem, I want it automatically fixed.
Right.
Even within me, it's like, okay, God, why are you making me sit with this? I want it fixed. And just, I know we talked about, and what was it? It's called imposter syndrome. And not faking like I fixed it, and actually taking the time to fix it.
Yeah, and we haven't done that.
No.
Up until now. But just like recently, over the last couple of years, we definitely haven't done that. And that whole surrender part, which we talk about all the time, it's hard. It's hard to get to that place of surrender. But what I see in myself is, prior to me getting to that place of surrender with this part of me, was looking at this platform and like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. If it's going to require all of this and the cost that comes with it, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But then understanding there is no turning back at this point, which we've talked about. So that brought me to a place of just surrender, and God, you do whatever you need to do for your will, your purpose, your plan. But you were also talking about control and wanting control of things. And I went out last night with one of my cousins, and he just keeps bringing people around that will prove his point. You know what he does. And she's talking to me about these amazing women that she's met, like in her church, and how like they pour into her, and like they have these discussions and how powerful they are, like powerful women of God, like you talk about cast out a devil, like you're just powerful women. And I asked her, like, how do you feel in that situation? She's like, oh no, girl, I'm good. Like I'm good with it. And me knowing her, how she was before, she would have been completely intimidated being in that circle. Yeah. So then I feel like God is circling around me again, because as much as I say I'm willing and I'm ready for those rooms, he's showing me how I have blocked some of those rooms. And you're still not ready. You're ready once you sure. So you have a couple of people that you've opened up to, but I haven't really submitted in that way to those rooms. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, girl, okay, it was meant for us to get together. Like God is showing me still some stuff in me where he's giving me opportunities to be invited to platforms. And I hadn't taken the opportunities until just recently. Where it's like, okay, I need to be a part of this and being blessed by it.
Yeah. For me, it's the preparation for the rooms.
Okay.
Like I feel like he's shown me so much of those rooms where I can almost like feel the people that's in there. To the point where I've had dreams where I'm like literally sitting where he's placing me, but not really. I know that there's some stuff in me that I can't be, there's certain parts of me I can't take to that room. No, so it's like, so it's just working on the preparation to be ready for those rooms and be ready for those blessings, because you never want to get there. And then, I mean, some stuff you just always feel like you unprepared. Like Sarah Jakes, like, I want to feel like I got this. And he's like, well, if you got this, then you don't really need me. But just allowing him to prepare me for it, and then to stand on it and be like, okay, I'm prepared, so now I'm gonna stand on it.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between where you say like there's some things we can't take with us into that room. There's a separation from that versus who he created you to be. And I had to unpack that, because we always talk about, oh, he's given us the freedom to walk in who we were created to be. But just like we always say, there's some people that can't come along with you on a journey. There's some things that can't come along with you on a journey, because the reality is we're still holding on to some stuff that is us, and we labeling it as God. And I think it was Michael Todd that said, like, we walk around and we're like, this is just who I am.
Yes,
this is just who I am.
Yeah, that's him.
Is that who you are, or is that who God says you are? So that's where I'm at. Because that's how I was. This is just how I am. This is just how I speak. This is just, no, there's no just how I am anymore.
And then taking away those, God's challenging me to go back how I was in the beginning.
How's that?
I've allowed people to change me and manipulate who I was originally.
Okay.
And he said, I didn't ask you to change that. And you changed it anyway. But you changed it and it didn't glorify me in any type of way or any sense. He's like, I need you to go back.
So is it you are dimming your light?
Yeah, I think it's part of me dimming my light. And I just remember having this where I really had a sense of, oh, I don't care. And I don't know when or if there was one turning point of a situation that changed it, or like going back to my childhood and trying to figure that out. But there was some point that made me change that of not caring to the point where it changed how I talk about God. It changes who he is.
Okay.
And just allowing people to alter my communication on who he is in my life for their comfortability.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm not here, and I was that kid. I'm not here for you to be comfortable. I'm not here for you to figure out rather what your religion is. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, he's God regardless of how you feel on whether you having a good day or a bad day. And I was there, and he was like, and you let
it go.
Yeah.
My pastor talks about that, where she was talking about her trip to Israel and how it changed her so much when she came back. And she's talking about other religions outside of Christianity and how they are devout. The Muslims, they're gonna put down their mat and they're gonna pray when it's Ramadan. They're gonna pray wherever they are. But we as Christians, we tend to, or I won't say we. She said, like, some people tend to shrink back and not be vocal about and staying firm on what we believe. You know, like, oh, well, you don't believe in Jesus. Oh, okay. No, I believe in Jesus. You know, and standing firm in who he is first. And like you said, what he's done for us and who he is to us. And just the gifts alone that you operate in, to some people will sound crazy. But I'm going to tell y'all, he's confirmed the back and forth between us where we know who he is. And nobody can tell us anything more. But getting to a place of having a boldness and speaking on that. And again, my date last night, we were talking about that, and she was telling me of an instance where God spoke something to her, and she was sharing it with some people in a group that she was in, or no, she didn't share it with everybody. She called one of the girls that she felt safe with afterwards to share with her, but not willing to share with everybody at the risk of, I'm going to sound crazy.
Yeah.
And the girl's like, okay, let me pray about it. And she talked to some of the other girls in the group, and she came back to her and she was like, thank you so much for your obedience because XYZ.
Yeah.
So we have to get more bold in who we are. If it's received, not received, it doesn't matter. At this point, we did our part.
Yeah. I remember the Bible talks about being denied. Like Jesus was like, you're gonna deny me. And knowing those people, and I think for me, I can clearly see those people that are going to not deny me, but not understand. Like, there's so many people like, okay, well, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And some things we're not able to, or not wanting to, because there's some things that I don't want to communicate. Yes. Okay, why am I doing this? Or just the communication that I've had in prayer on, okay, why are you doing this? But he's just like, I didn't ask them to do it. And not everybody is going to understand why you're doing it.
They're not your audience. And we talked about that before.
They didn't understand why they had to go and ask for all the slaves to be released out of Egypt. Yeah. He didn't understand why they were walking around. They didn't understand when they got to the ocean. And he didn't understand what was going to be able. He didn't even understand, okay, once I put my staff in this ocean, that it's going to separate. Yeah. He didn't even understand. No, so there's some stuff that I don't understand. But he knew God called him.
Right.
He knew God challenged him and said, I need you to do this. And didn't have to give him nothing else. You're going to be the one that these people are assigned to you. And that's the end of it. I don't have to explain. I ain't have to explain that. But I'm going to give you some clear vision of who you're going to release.
Wow. That's amazing. And knowing that even if they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Being confident that I still did what I was supposed to do. Because that's a hard one. If we're going to be honest, that's a hard one. Yeah. Because we almost be like, God, well, you said, and then this happened.
Yeah.
But everybody's not going to line up and comply.
Yeah.
Like, think about, I don't know which preacher it was that was talking about it. You know, like with Noah and the ark, and it had never rained before.
Oh, yeah, that was Madhu.
Oh,
yeah, yes. I got that one saved. That was so good.
And even talking about, like, after they were in the ark, God had the nerve to wait 7 days, let it rain.
Yeah.
So you questioning yourself, like, God, was this really you?
Yeah, you sitting in there with all them animals and just like, okay, I'm sitting here, now what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that just ties into us trusting his power.
Yeah.
Trusting his power to work in us and do what it needs to do. And go ahead, sis.
Yes.
But we were talking about just walking in obedience, the whole Noah's Ark thing, and doing what he did. And it makes me think about what we've been talking about, and that is allowing the power of God to work first for us, and then in us and through us, which my pastor is also talking about. And the vulnerability that comes along with that.
Yeah.
My goodness. Last night I was literally just, I'm laying in the bed, and I think from maybe, can't remember when we talked last, but maybe 9 to after 12, it was laying in it, like sitting in it, allowing God to speak, to download, and the tears start to flow, and just the whole vulnerability of it all was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. But I know that it's a pivotal point again. And like on our last episode, we talked about it being a pivotal point with us telling our why and telling about the gap and the divide. And it's almost like, okay, now you've done that. Now this.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, like even with our conversation yesterday, And y'all, just to give y'all some backstory. So like I had to explain in like certain situations like what my process is. Like, okay, if I'm going through, like, y'all, I got my behind kicked. We was doing the Nurture for Love. And I knew, it's almost like, when you're given an assignment, the enemy coming. Like, I know I'm about to get my behind kicked for this one. So which way are you coming?
Yeah.
So coming from, like, now we have steps. Like, okay, I know he uses this trick, because he has nothing new. So it's like, okay, you're going to come after me emotionally, which he did. You're going to come after my sleep, which he did. But to me, it's just like, okay, if you come from my sleep, if you wake me up, get ready for these prayers, because you wake me up and that's it. Okay, now I'm up. Now I got time. We gonna be here together until 4:00 in the morning,
right?
Because you gonna get all of this. Like, I can't go to sleep, neither can you.
Yeah,
you gonna interrupt my peace. The enemy, I'm gonna interrupt yours.
Let's fight.
Yes, in Jesus' name, because everything gotta be in Jesus' name. You can't just get up and be like, I'm gonna fight with the enemy, because you're gonna lose if you do not have the tools in order to do it. But just from like with all of that, and then the attack on my body, it was just like, okay, what is this? Whereas I know for you, you're just like, all right, I'm ready to go. You loud with it. And for me, I had to explain, because my sister's never really seen that of just like, okay, I'm the quiet one. I'm the one where I'm in my head, because a lot of my torment is in my head. And like, I know I didn't discuss this part with you, but when we was in the hospital, the enemy told me if I kept going, he was going to kill me. And I was just like, and I was praying, like, I knew. I was just like, maybe a year and a half ago, I might have believed you. Yeah, but you couldn't kill me at my weakest. So what makes you think you can do it now? So that's the battle that was going on in my head. And just like from the outside looking in, it looked like, okay, she's calm during the middle of this storm. So what's going on? But it was all just a head battle of, no, I'm going off. And sisters, I ain't cuss either. Like, it was all like, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm more than a conqueror. He's given me the power to move mountains. So I'm moving you out of my way in this situation.
Yeah, you gotta go.
You cannot speak damnation over my life and then think that I'm not gonna come back at you.
Yeah.
But I know from the outside looking in, it was just like, she's just laying there and she's just taking it. Yeah.
That really was how I perceived it, because I'm so vocal. But just to give our sisters a little bit more backstory, because everybody doesn't follow everything. We went to speak to a young group of girls between 13 and 18, just about life. Nurture the Love. Hey, Risha, and Nurture the Love team. And that day, Tiffany did have like a crazy attack on her body. And when you called me and you told me, like, right away, I'm walking around my house like, okay, we bind and we loosen, we're praying. And then not really understanding how you were processing it, I said to you, you need to be praying, but not realizing you're praying in your head. And just in another instance where there was something I asked you to do and you said, okay, just send it to me, I'll do it. But I sense, no, she's still not feeling well. So I asked, I said, if you're not able to, I need you to tell me you're not able to, and then I'll work it out. But expressing to you that I need you to be vocal. Like, you are safe with me. There's nothing you can say that is going to, one, change my opinion of you. If anything, it's going to give me a better understanding of you. But as far as the battles in your mind, I do encourage you to start to speak out loud against it, because I think God, the enemy, the atmosphere responds to those things that you speak out loud.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I'm home.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody.
You don't have to be home. Girl, go in the bathroom.
But I wasn't going to do it in the hospital.
Listen. The pain she was in, I would have been in that bathroom.
Man.
Yeah.
But see, remember, I'm the one that there's no middle ground.
Yeah. So you would have been.
So, yeah.
I would have been like, y'all can't come here right now.
Like, no, with me, there's no middle ground. It wouldn't have been oh, we just gonna be in the bathroom. Like, no, there is no, like, my husband to tell you, like, I've woken him up sometimes. I'm like, what is going on? Everybody's heads is greasy by the time I get done walking through this house. True. So it's not a situation where it's like, okay, there's a middle ground, because in my prayer, we talked about before keeping an account, and love doesn't keep an account. But just like how I keep an account on people and my loved ones and what they do, even though I shouldn't, I keep an account of everything the enemy has done to me and everything the enemy has tried to take from me. So in that situation, I'm not just cussing you out about you attacking my body. Now I'm coming after you for the years of me having 104 degree fever and you trying to kill me. Then now you're triggering me because now I want to go off about all them other stuff. There'd have been no way. I would have been locked up. They would have been calling security. And then be like, okay, yes, we're going to admit her. She got to stay here in the hospital.
Take her phone. She can't have that. She going into crisis.
Because when I was in the hospital, I was getting mad because I'm like, here we are again. Here we are because I decided to stand my ground. Here goes the sickness. And we've been here before. So it's like, even with the, I didn't put the correlation between the car accident that I got in with the white car. It was a white car near, what's that, Holly Heights. I didn't put the correlation, but that was within the same month that I originally turned my life over to God. That I got into the car accident and that what I was seeing. So the correlation between them, it's like, here you come again. Every time I do something, every time I reach a new plateau and where God wants me to be at, here you come. So I was mad, but I'm like, if I open my mouth, there's no shutting me up. So I was like, I'm gonna wait till I'm gonna get home with this one. But that's what's like, when I feel better, that's what's like, I was still up. Cause I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna be in your face. Now you still got to see me, because there's not. And even when, like, after I got off the phone with you, and I was sitting there, I was on the floor, and I was like, God, what are you trying to teach me?
What, last night or
the night
when you got
no,
sick?
That the morning, before we
prior.
went, yeah, I was sitting on the floor sick, and I'm like, God, what do you want me to do with this moment? Because even in my pain, even in this ugliness that I'm going through, there's a reason. Because even though I believe that God he doesn't wish stuff on us, the enemy can't torment us and can't do anything to us that he doesn't have permission for once we turn our lives over to God. So I'm like, okay, God, you've given permission to allow me to go through this, because you could just take me out of this. But you're not. You're making me sit with it. So what do y'all literally was telling him, what do you want? What do you want me to learn out of this?
Okay. Did you get an answer?
I'm part of it.
Okay.
But just in that situation, I would have canceled. I would have been like, I'm not going. I can't do this. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Sisters, I was in the bathroom more times than I want to admit. But I was getting ready to be what is it? They're the woman who, her name, I think it's Lorena Bobbitt. You know the Lorena Bobbitt story?
She didn't want to cut off.
But you know how she did it? Because she was so adamant in doing it that she drove with a diaper on so she wouldn't stop until she got to her destination.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I was thinking that part of the story.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about it, I was cracking up because the way my head worked. I was like, I'm going to be as determined as she was to do something evil. I'm going to be that determined. If I got a strap, and I had the Depends because of the kids, after having kids. If y'all don't know, the hack for that is just to put a Depends on so it catch everything.
Don't worry about the pads.
Yeah, like them pads ain't not catching enough. But I was just like, okay, this is where I'm at. Literally through hell or high water, you're not going to stop me.
Yeah.
And you can't take me out because I know I'm not done. Yeah. So that is what it is.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And it's so admirable. And I appreciate you allowing me in to understand, because without understanding, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But now that I have that understanding, I can move different. I can handle you different and not assume anything.
Yeah.
Ask the questions to have understanding. And I just ask, as I mentioned before, that you just continue to be open and sharing where you are. So I know.
I remember when you said that, you was like, well, why didn't you tell me? And I was telling you, I never had a relationship where it mattered. It's okay, this is your job, this is your responsibility, get it done one way or the other. Like I remember like when I had COVID, y'all had COVID, and the only reason why I lasted over 30 days is because for the first 2 weeks after even knowing I had it, I was still taking care of the kids.
Not getting the support you needed.
No, I was still like, okay, I'm holding down. I'm holding down in this house, bathing the kids, literally putting the kids in a tub and laying on the floor for a half an hour just to get some type of relief.
Yeah.
And then still getting up, getting everybody dressed, still doing everything and pushing myself to the limit. So it's just like I never
had that space to be
had anybody say, is this something that you can handle or do you need time? Because it was just do it. You know, Dad has, I say he has the military disciplinary thing, but he wasn't in the military. But that comes from the martial arts.
Yeah, that's true.
Just do it. Just do it. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what your disability is. Just do it. Like even with the learning disability, I don't care that you got a learning disability. I crack up because I'm like, Dad was Olivia Pope's dad.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
He really was, like in a lot of sense. Everybody is already gonna, in a lot of ways, he was like, everybody else is already gonna discount your weakness. So I'm gonna act like you don't have one.
Wow.
So it definitely made me strong, but there wasn't allowed a weakness in our house. No, you cannot be vulnerable. Yeah. You cannot allow anybody to see the weakness. So it came across in every aspect of my life. I can't let nobody see it.
Okay. Yeah, well, no, I totally get that. I totally get that part of it. And that speaks to what I was saying earlier about being in a place of brokenness, because that requires vulnerability that I have never showed before. But God was clearly showing me that that's the only way He can take me to the next level. That brokenness comes before Him putting us into position and promoting us to the next level. So until we get there, and now based on what you're saying, it's not just me, it's you as well, just in different ways that He can't take us to the next level because we have to submit to Him. And just showing the cost, like everything, when you were talking about everything that you went through just in that day alone, in my mind, I'm hearing the cost that comes along with what He's asking us to do. And are we willing?
Only because there's people attached to it.
Right. If it was just me and you,
I'd be like, see you, deuces, cut, it's a wrap, that's it, I'm out. Like, no. But only because there's a cost to it. And just like seeing the impact we made on another generation and just being like, okay, I gotta do this because they need to see somebody. It's not the struggle. It's how God uses the struggle. And it's about how He's using us to show that, okay, I'm taking them out so that other people can see it. That's why He told us to open up our mouths.
Yeah.
Because everything that we're going through, He's like, okay, now watch this.
Yeah.
Watch how I come through on this.
Overcomer.
Yes.
Overcomer. Showing people who are in the thick of it that it is possible to overcome. I believe that wholeheartedly. That's what He wants. But as much as I didn't want to be held to a higher standard, He's showing me that there's no way around that, and that's just for me. So I'm sitting in it.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in it.
Like for me, He was just like, I'm gonna hold you to a higher standard regardless of whether you do it or not. And that was my thing, because it was like, okay, I can get close to or finish what He's asking me to do, or I cannot start at all. And that was the thing that scared me, because I thought if I didn't do it that I was safe. And he was like, no.
You have to do it anyway.
You're not safe. Yeah. Like, I'm going to make, if you don't do it, then you've been completely disobedient on the whole reason why I put you here, on the whole reason why I put you, sorry y'all, but the whole reason why he put me in a family where everybody doesn't even recognize their own flaws. I'm going to make you pull the carpet up. If you ever watch somebody pull the carpet up and watch the crack that's underneath of a carpet, depending on how long, y'all, this my house. So my house set for 6 years. That formal living room, when they pulled the carpet up out of there, the amount of stuff, the amount of carpet beetles, the amount of stuff, dead corpses, beetles that were dead because they couldn't survive, that were there. It's just like, okay, when you pull the carpet up, what's dead? Yeah. What's no longer serving the purpose, and you're just covering up and then trying to make it look pretty. Right. He wants that. Yeah. And it's just like, this is not pretty. This is not cute. No. And that's what's like, I can paint a face and make it look good, but there's so much crap underneath of it. And it's like, when are you going to deal with this? Yeah. And then challenging people to really deal with it. And it's funny because I didn't realize, I started digging deep in my Bible, and I didn't realize I should have. And it's so cringe that I didn't, because they talk about how you cannot separate the word of God, God from his word. And all the times that God was talking to me, a lot of times he was talking to me in scriptures that I didn't even know exist. Same. So the one where I sent you, I think it was Isaiah 60. Was today? It 6? Yeah. Beauty was it ashes? Today? Yes. And we was talking about beauty for ashes. I'm going to tag it. But he was talking about, for all of our ugliness, what he replaces it with. And I was literally laying in bed, never heard the scripture before. And he was like, beauty for ashes. And I'm like, what is that? Yeah. And so I'm doing a Google search, and I'm doing the Bible app, and whole chapter, Isaiah 61. And then I was just like, okay, it was giving me the paraphrase. So then I was going, all right, I used to like, it's funny because now I'm going backwards. My favorite was the amplified version, because I felt as though I was like, I used to tell one of our aunts I wanted it in English. Like the other, I felt like the other one. Yeah. It was like, this is not in English. But now that I'm more seasoned, I wanted it in King James version. Okay. I didn't know that until last night. Okay. Because all my Bible app was in the amplified version. So then I'm like,
I want to see what it really says.
I no longer understand the amplified version. Wow. I needed the King James version. I remember, and he's bringing me back, and I got to read it. But I remember there was one night I was really tormented. I had a really bad, if I'm honest, I had a really bad breakup. And God was shifting me into I believe that was one of the things he was showing me. And I was having I was scared to go to sleep. I hadn't slept in 2 days because I was scared to go to sleep with everything that he was trying to download. And I'm like, God, I don't want it.
Too much.
And he told me, and I'm challenging our sisters to read chapter James. Because I was reading it, and James is short.
Yeah, it's really short.
But you talk about a chapter that will dig in your behind. And now I'm like, oh God, because I was reading it so much. I had usually, they talk about, what's that guy's name? I think his name is Chandler. I'm going to find him and start sharing his real.
Oh, no, I asked you that before and you said no, it was somebody different.
No, so the guy, I don't know who that is. This skinny guy, and he's so profound and so calm. His voice is so calming to where I almost believe that's what God sounds like. Like, it's just, it's
still quiet voice.
Yes. Yeah, soft the voice. Way he talks, but his profound way of just naturally understanding what God is saying is absolutely amazing. Yeah. But he was talking about just being deliberate and getting to that word of God. And he was talking about how he's like, you ever think it's a coincidence on why as soon as you open the Bible you get tired.
Yeah, you get sleepy.
Because the enemy doesn't want you to have the weapon that's going to use to defeat him. And I was cracking up because that was the one moment in my life where I was just like, God, take away that. Don't let the enemy disturb me. I didn't sleep for 2 days. Because he was like, I'm not going to allow the enemy to disrupt you. Yeah. And everybody's like, you ain't sleeping 2 days. It was perfectly fine. Yeah. Like, not tired, not anything. I've never had another moment like that in my whole entire life. Because it was just like, really he was like, I need you. And he was like, he kept waking me up. Read James, read James, read James. I was like, okay, I'm going to read it.
Well, you know what I'm going to be reading tonight, because now I'm curious. I know I've read it, but I don't recall. So it
is going on some cue cards. Yeah. I know one of our aims is to get the Sister Talks cue cards. We want to give y'all, we're going to be praying over them too. And just to give y'all, okay, this is what's going around the room. And your husband and your mate gonna have to deal with some cute pink and purple cards all around the house.
This is the word for the day.
Yes, but just being deliberate in, first of all, like one of the things that I'm doing that I'm challenging myself with doing. I know we talked about being deliberate on not only what I'm praying over, but that whoever steps into my house, that they know what I'm praying over. Yeah. So, okay, the prayers on my headboard, what am I praying over? I should be praying over the covering of our house, of our kids, of our family, and speaking what not only, because I think people get lost in the promises of God and not what you got to do in order to receive those promises. They want to be like, oh, you know what? He promised us a long life. Yeah. Okay, but what do you have to do in that long life? First of all, I know we beat our head, our parents, like, you got to honor your mother and your father as long. But okay, what does that look like? And asking questions. Right. Like, I don't think we were ever taught, like, okay, you can ask God questions and ask for clarity on those things, because the whole Bible is not absolutely crystal clear. You're not going to get everything at first reading.
And Jackie talked about that when she sat with us about people wanting the blessings but not the lessons. Yes. And that was such a pertinent word, because we do. Like, we'll manipulate half the scripture, and not really look at the whole thing.
Because we want nothing but comfort.
Right.
And it is not our comfort.
Girl, like I have never been so uncomfortable in my life, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It's not in a bad way, because I know what is coming after this. And God gave me the scripture that talks about pride and how pride comes before a fall, but humility comes before promotion. And when he gave it to me, I'm like, pride? I'm not prideful. Like, because I told you this, like, when I think of pride, I think of somebody that's arrogant or looks at themselves as like haughty or like above people. And I'm definitely not that. Yeah. But the pride was me being unwilling to be completely humble and vulnerable and expose me. And I had mentioned to a sister friend that, and this was a few weeks back, and it's just coming back to my mind, that I felt like God was challenging me on this platform to be more vulnerable. And it was kind of like, and I know we talked about this a while back, oh yeah, it's cute, but he wanted more.
Yeah.
And she said to me, she said, no, I don't think you don't come across as fake, like you're just more cautious. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put all my business out here. Some things just can't be exposed in this platform, but he's just tying it all together for me now that this is what he wants. And not just in this setting, but when he gives me opportunities to sit in certain rooms and sit on certain platforms, I have said in the past, I don't do that. I don't open up to people like that. I don't know them like that. I don't know what their intentions are. I don't know XYZ. But he's challenging me to trust him with the discernment that he's given me, where either he's going to show me if something is not right, or he wanted me to be there even if it's uncomfortable.
When you said that, it's just like, I don't know them. Like, I thought about Jesus on the cross, and I thought about the thief that was next to him, and he wasn't sure of anything else in that moment but he knew that's Jesus. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, in paraphrasing, he wanted to go with him.
Wow.
And people, I feel like, not you, but I feel like for me, we mark people because we know them. And say, ooh, they done this, and this, and this, and this.
Oh, yeah, no.
They can't, I'm not willing to, like, even to my own downfall, because I'm not going to name no names. But there's certain people that continue that, hell, yesterday hurt me. And it's just like, I don't get to decide who God's grace falls on.
That's true.
And that's a hard one for me. Because God will be like, okay, well, I see this. I remember we was having this conversation. I see this person sitting on this platform. You were like, I don't know how that's going to work and I was like, well, we just going to have to edit the heck out of that one.
Well, I'm like, God going to be God and to make that happen.
But like, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how that's going to go about, or even God, like, just pointing out certain things like, okay, I need you to go get this person. And I'm like, what you want me, like,
what do you want me to do with it? Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't. And that's when we talk about the whole Moses, Noah's Ark. That's being all obedient. I told you to do. Is go get that person. Go get in your car, travel. Once you get there, I'll give you the next steps. But you're going to have to move. I remember Michael Todd talked about that.
He did.
And he talked about, oh, well, you be like, all right, I'm not going to fight him, but you just got to lean a little bit. You just got to do one of these and then watch where he take it. And I just be like, okay, God.
And he's showing.
Yeah,
he
is.
Like, once you make those moves, he's showing. He's showing you that just in the last couple of days and confirming some things that he had already spoke. And he showed me just today because it's this group, and I was telling you about it, that is a group that I was invited to even prior to me even being qualified to be invited to this group. And like, like I followed it a little bit, but I don't know these people. And it's because of the way we were raised. We keep it tight. You don't like let others infiltrate. But they do a prayer call every Friday. And last Friday was the first Friday I joined, and it was a blessing, like truly a blessing. And last night, after all of my turmoil, I didn't get to sleep till maybe like 12:30, 1 o'clock, had to be up for work. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to join the prayer call because I'm going to be tired. But I'm like, okay, let me just set the clock and see how I feel in the morning. Girl, set that clock, woke up, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, get in the shower, go join the call. And the confirmation that I got from that call about some of the things that God was downloading and speaking to me overnight just let me know that's where I'm supposed to be. To the extreme of, she made the statement, like she was talking about mental health and how we overcommit and, like, what do we need to let go of? And she talked about detoxing your life, like topics that we've talked about just recently. And she ended with us asking, what are you willing to let go to walk in the purpose of like who God called you to be, or like for your mental health or whatever? And everybody's giving their answers. Some people, like, they're going to say no, like for the mental health. And, some were a lot deeper. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got nothing. Like, I don't know. And she kept saying, anybody else? And I'm like, God, I have nothing. And she's like, okay, I'm going to close with prayer. So she starts to pray, and God clearly speaks that I am to let go of the pride that I've had and completely submit to his process, which is the threshing floor that I'm talking about and breaking. And she's praying, but, of course, she's looking at the chat comments. So she saw my comment during the prayer and started to pray over what I had said. And just the confirmation again that came from it. This is where you're supposed to be. But I almost missed that opportunity because of my insecurities. So
I know the Bible talks about seeking the kingdom of God first, and all things will be added unto you. And it's like, you ain't got to worry about nothing else. Talks about the birds in the sky and how they know it neither toil nor spin. but they are taken care of.
Yes.
It's like, you do not have, I don't know why them two things is tied together, Lord, because they ain't even in the same book. But not having to worry about anything else but what God wants, and then watch him take care of everything else.
Watch him line it up.
Like, yeah, that has to be like our rear view, like our windshield focus. We're not worried about the
looking back.
Oh God, I was listening to a sermon. Oh God, I didn't even think about that. They were just talking about, I don't even know who that was. I've never heard her before, and I think I shared it on my personal one, but I got shared on our other one. But they were talking about how, I don't even know the woman's name, but they were talking about how, I think I shared it with you. There was 100 and some women mentioned in the Bible, but there was only one that was mentioned where she looked back and turned into,
it was somebody, she was a guest speaker.
Yeah, and she turned into sand, and she broke it down because she said instead of looking forward to what God had for her, she missed the person she was, and that's why she might not have literally turned into sand. She was stuck. When you turn into sand, you blend into the ground. So she was literally stuck because she couldn't move forward. I don't ever want to be like that. No. Don't want to be like, okay, well, I missed this and this and this, all that I used to do before, and think that it's better than what God has for me. And that's the ugliness for me, because it's the battle of me trying to comfort people that we're used to and having an explanation for how I was before. I cannot explain this new journey because I don't know what it is. I'm walking in it, and I will tell you what it looks like when I get there. The people who wandered in the wilderness, where Michael Todd talked about, it was supposed to be for 11 days, but it wound up being 40 years? 41 years? I don't never want to wander longer than what I've already wandered, because as we've talked about before, we've already been wandering longer than what we were supposed to, because God meant for this to happen a long time ago. But just understanding that I've always had to be quick on my feet. I've always had to have an answer for everything. So for me that's the ugliness for me, to sit in the uncomfort of that one person asking me, well, what's your goal? What's this? What's that? Why are you doing this? And what do you want to do? It's okay to say, I'm leaning on God's understanding and not my own. That's my answer. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But that's because he chose you to do one thing. He chose me to do a different thing. But I could explain the old me. I could explain why I was going out with my girlfriends and coming home at 2:00 in the morning, because I want to shake my behind and I want to have some fun. But I can't explain how that person is now this person, because they don't look like the same person. That person and this person being in the same room, they couldn't stand each other. So that's the ugliness for me, because people want to explanate. A lot of times, not just me, people will want an explanation on, how did you get that way? How did you arrive at this place? And why are you like the way you are now? I don't have a reason for it.
Because God is God.
Yes, I opened up the door and I stopped fighting, and that's my reason why. But that's not good enough for a lot of people, because it's upsetting. They're stagnant in them not answering the calling on what God wants to do in their lives. So because it's a shine on what they should be doing, that's why they're uncomfortable. And that's why that person that keep asking me that is so uncomfortable, because you know what your calling is. People keep telling you what your calling is, but you've blindly disobeyed and said you'd rather do something else. And that's on you. That's not on me.
You can't we talk about that before, like you can't make anybody do anything. Like they have to.
But that's to surrender. I've been trying to spoon feed people like they're daggone babies. And then it's like, this is who I'm serving. This is what I'm doing. This is a little bit of what God told me. And seeing if they're going to digest it, and seeing if they're comfortable with it.
But no more.
They're going to have to choke on it.
She a bad dog.
Like, they're going to have to, if you don't like it, gag. Because I'm not doing it.
So you are, okay, because on my call today, for me, it was letting go of the pride and submitting to God's purpose and plan. And shout out to Dina McMillan Phillips,
yes,
who is an amazing author, minister. I don't know what her artist, what her whole portfolio is, but shout out to her for being an amazing woman of God.
Yes.
And being obedient and saying yes to his call. Okay, and I'm going to get back to this. So that's what I am letting go of. So to me, it sounds like you're letting go of the insecurity of being obedient to what he's saying, or for you to say, or what are you letting go of?
I'm letting go of checking on people and making sure they're comfortable.
Okay.
Of what God already told me to do.
Yeah.
Because even like reading my Bible and looking at everything, majority of the whole nation was uncomfortable whenever God called anybody to do anything. Yeah. It wasn't understood until they arrived. Like even my boy Michael Todd. Nobody understood why this black little boy was supposed to be destined to take over a white church. He was just like in the middle of nowhere. Like you in the middle of Tulsa. Like I'm like, I want to go visit the church, but is there anything else for me to do?
What we gonna do?
They ain't got a Wawa. Like they ain't got nothing.
I'm sure they have something there.
They got, I forget what he called it, but it was the countryest name for a corner store I've ever heard in my life. Funny. But yeah, like just there's going to be no explanation until God's full promise comes to its full term. And this is like that's why they always talk about it's crazy, because that's why they always talk about giving birth in full term, because being pregnant and like you going through like this whole transition of getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I like to correlate it with, you might not even understand what your full blessing or what your full gift is. And in terms of one of my husband's sisters, she never wants to know what she's giving birth to. She likes it to be a surprise.
Okay.
So it's a surprise to us. A lot of times God will give us a vision, but we never know how big it is. Just like I know my baby was going to be that big. You know, I gave like not understanding how big the full goal for our life is. And until you're full term. Right. When you're full term, then it's like, okay. People, you know, even people, it's like, I don't know if she's pregnant, so I don't want to say nothing. Because she might just be big. Yeah, you might just be big. You like, you 3 months. I don't know. She might be pregnant. She might not. But when you're full term pregnant, you're 9 months. Oh, she's definitely carrying something. Yeah. But it's that uncomfortable of not knowing whether you're full term or not. Yeah, and it's like, I cannot wait until I'm full term to make you comfortable with realizing that I'm pregnant. No, I'm 2 months. I'm pregnant now. Not physically, because no, not right now. Spiritually, but I'm spiritually pregnant. I'm 2 months now, and you're questioning me because I haven't gotten the full term yet. Yeah. And this is like everybody else that God's called in the Bible. Okay, they're not full term, but when they get to 9 months and it's raining and it's Noah Ark, and now you understand while I'm in here. Yeah. That was the aha moment. I'm not gonna wait for you to get to your aha moment to be obedient, because then I passed it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy of the process and embracing the process.
Yeah,
that and understanding that people are not going to get it or understand, but continuing in that process regardless of what it looks like. I love that.
Got to.
We need to start the wrap up. This was a good one. I'm glad that God has us in this uncomfortable place, because we work. This platform is about healing, and as we always say, we are healing as you are healing, and we share. So I am grateful for this topic of being gracefully broken.
Yes.
So I guess we'll end
with our question. So what does sisterhood mean to you?
Sisterhood to me, based on just the last 48 hours, means letting go.
Okay.
Letting go of those, letting go of the lack of the unwillingness to be vulnerable, letting go of the apprehension, and trusting God's process and embracing those people that he bring that is a sisterhood to me, and not just after trial and error and like, are you sure, Jackie and I talk about this all the time. Embracing it and trusting the discernment that he's placed in me to know that if a door needs to be closed, he's going to close it. If it needs to be open, he's going to open it. So I am letting go.
Yeah.
And what does sisterhood mean to
Mine's
you?
gonna have my sister looking at me like, you ain't just say that.
Oh, am I clutching my pearls?
But mine is because, like, we talked about, and I pulled the book out, and I'm like, oh God, I got to the first chapter, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start this. But we talking about Miss Dina, and mine's is naked.
Oh, you haven't done it yet?
No, because mine's is on. So, like, mine's is cringe.
Tag the book again.
Yes. So mine's is cringe because it's funny because I'm a house nudist. Like, I don't like. I feel like first of all, I hate clothes. I absolutely hate clothes. So it's just like, okay, I can't go to a nude beach because that's not really. I believe that's not really Christian. Like, I can't be walking around here with my God-given cheekies out. So it's like in my house, I'm like, okay, either you help me make the babies or you're one of the babies that came out of me. Yeah. So everybody done seen it at one point or another. So I feel like my house, I should be able to walk around. So I remember my husband was just like, why do you just gonna walk around the house naked? Like, seriously, like, what happens if somebody sees you? Yeah. But I'm taking it in a spiritual form of walking around naked as God made me, and that whole mindset of what happens if somebody sees you. And that's what sisterhood means to me, of me just walking around spiritually naked. Yes. You get to see me for who God made me, the beautiful, the ugly, walking around here in the grace that God covered me in. And it's just, it is what it is.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And for me, you know how much of a struggle that is.
you be like, because I walk around like that in front of my sister. She be like, seriously?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. It's a struggle for me in the physical and the spiritual of being naked. So I love that. And she said she's going to pull out her book, y'all. So
yes, I did. It's out.
And we will do it together. Like, it's like a constant evolution. I'm willing to do that as many times as we need to continue to grow and flourish. So we really need to wrap up.
Well, we had an interruption, so we should be good. We should be good.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This was needed. Everything that was said is needed. So I don't regret any of it. So we want you to have a good rest of your evening. And we will see you soon.
See you.
Bye.